Guys, and we are live. Yeah, it's gonna be one of them days. We know it. The background noise again. Apologies it's for my quack quacks. They are going to be going into the water, so that's why we hear all the ruckus. But yeah, so we're trying to just see what's up with what's going on in the world today. So we're just gonna kind of monitor all the stuff going on. So we have different things going on today. We have, of course, what's going on in like Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. We're kind of still watching like that war stuff. And then we're just kind of monitoring stuff like um, like just random news, guys. One of them days. It seems like a slow day today. So, we're just here vibing. That's basically all we're going to be doing today. So, yeah. Let me go ahead and get all set up. Sorry for the delay, guys. Trying to make sure we have everything kosher for you guys before we start. But I'm a little late bloomer today. One of those days you work really hard and then your day kind of catches up with you and you're just like, dang it, man, more hours in my day. But it happens, right? Yeah. Uh, And here comes my ducks. They're going to be making their grand entrance. Let me go ahead and mute this.
Legal pathways to work here in the country from across the world, and we'll have to reestablish trust for anyone who want to come here at this point. So we've got a lot of work to do. It's a very long-winded question, but less defense, more education. Hi, thank you. My name is Leah. I live on 15th Avenue. I just wanted to thank you for your great service. All honesty, I supported your opponent in the primary last year. You've really won me over, as well as my family members. I think your communication strategy is working. I saw your Instagram post when I told my mom that I was coming. She's like, "Oh, I saw that email, and I was so disappointed I couldn't come today." So I think you're reaching different generations with different outreach, which I think is really great. And you've been really impressive in the bold and brave stands you've taken, especially on the genocide in Gaza, which is something that so many politicians won't touch with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah, the whole Jake Lynn thing is crazy.
Just ask you about, we've heard about education tonight and healthcare and recreation. I volunteer at a local food pantry, and food insecurity is also still a huge issue in our community. With the change to SNAP benefits, it's increased demand. We did have a temporary surge in funding from the last SNAP crisis, but that money's been spent now, and food pantries are again, not having enough resources. So I just wanted to, make sure that issue stays on the priority too. Is important as are the other issues that people have brought up. No, thank you. No, you're exactly right. At the state level, food and shelter, I said it all the time. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If people don't have food and shelter security, then they can't learn. They can't worry about their mental health. They can't nurture their children. So
A joke, that's what it is.
Expectation that everyone will be fed and housed in this country, and we are so far from that right now. It is deeply heartbreaking. And literally, I was talking with health share about the intersection of mental health and housing insecurity right now, and the fact that we are not investing where we know the dollars are returned and taking care of people who are in those crises. So and we also talked with the Oregon Food Bank last week. They were in DC on a Hill Day, and you're exactly right. There's been several food pantries that have actually shuttered, even despite having volunteers that just don't have the food that they can give. So one thing that we are working on, and I'm very committed to, and I think it is an opportunity for bipartisan work, is prescribing healthy food. We know that people can't afford. Those who are most economically insecure also have the disproportionate burden of chronic health issues, including diabetes and hypertension. And I believe when we get into the majority and are talking about healthcare, that physicians prescribing food, healthy food, we can do it with WIC. We do it, this is something we know how to do as a country, needs to be something that we provide. It's cheaper than prescriptions. You know how to fill it. We need to give people access to healthy food. It supports our farmers, it supports the local supply chain. So that is one thing that I think we can immediately turn on that actually can provide support for our grocery chains also that are really struggling right now. So that is one small thing that we can do, but it really is dependent on our communities right now. Unfortunately, it's volunteers and people giving money to the food pantries and banks that are keeping our communities fed. And
It's almost touching the floor, but it's not quite.
that's the case. Thank you for doing it.
Thank you, Maxine, for your service to our community. And
Pleasure.
so I assume that you have conversations with your Republican colleagues. And
Some.
Conversations, are they reasonable? Are they acrimonious? Are they both? I just find myself confused about what their motives are
Me too.
and how they're, proceeding. Is it just about holding on to power? I'm just wondering if you have any insights.
I have a few. I certainly don't speak for Republicans, so this is
No.
my interpretation of what I'm being told or what I'm hearing. Number one, there are reasonable people there. I'm working on a wildfire or a wildland firefighter package with Mike Kennedy, who's a family practice doctor from Utah, and he's a Republican. And he very clearly understands that the swing of the majority is going to continue to change, and we need to find opportunities to work together. So we also are talking about healthcare policy. And that is one area where I see a lot of opportunity because the Republicans and the Democrats have many of the same huge issues.
Thank you for the $20 super chat.
I don't know if anyone watches C-SPAN, but when
I'm tired of hearing them too.
the Senate was talking to the insurance industry executives, it was actually the Republicans who were going harder on the insurance industry execs about how they are denying care and really benefiting from the premiums and copays of our working people and denying care and having worse outcomes. So I know that the Republicans, at least on healthcare, are interested in really addressing whether it's PBMs or the cost of prescriptions and other things, access to care. Also, physician ownership of practices and trying to save rural medicine. So there are opportunities there. And these are people who vote in a way that I cannot explain, and yet you can have a conversation that seems very rational. And I think it's that disconnect that really is challenging for me. I literally was talking to one on the floor as we were having a crazy vote that I could not believe that, they were voting to.
What should I ask her if they let me?
There was like almost a fight coming to blows on the floor over this. And I was sitting there talking to a Republican and having a reasonable conversation. And it's just such a disconnect from the impact of what they're doing. And I think part of that is because they are not showing up in community and talking to their people. They're not in town halls where they're getting pushback. And when they do, they're leaving because they're having so much negative pushback. So it's easy if you stay in your echo chamber and don't actually talk to the people you represent to create an alternative reality, which we know our president has done. So to some degree, I think it's ignorance, whether it's intentional or not. To some degree, I think they also feel powerless against this
Alternate reality, like
Jeff Hurd,
men becoming women.
Republican. He's a freshman from Colorado who challenged Lauren Boebert, and then she moved so she could run in a different district. And
Don't worry about it.
Openly, like Donald
I don't
Trump
need to tell you,
retracted
man.
his endorsement of him recently because he
Who are
voted
you?
against him on the tariffs. And Jeff said, if I get primaried and I lose, does my community do better with a farther right wing representative than I am? And I think it's a really hard position to be in. I certainly don't say that, not being courageous is the right way to go, but I can see his logic there. He's somebody who's trying to stay there and wait this out so he can be part of a solution later on and trying to maintain relationships. I do not endorse that. That's certainly not how I would hope that I would lead in that situation, but rational people are making arguments that I can understand about why they're being spineless in this time. Can you introduce yourself so everyone knows?
Sure. I'm Pastor J.W. Matt Hennessy here in Portland. I pastor a church, but I left my Bible study tonight because I wanted to come and hear our Congresswoman, and I want to thank you for your great work in Congress and for having the town halls and other ways that you communicate with us. My question is this, and I pray I was a few minutes late, but I pray that this isn't a redundant question. I'm very concerned when I hear mail-in ballots are corrupt. Y'all didn't hear me, so let me just make sure y'all do. You understand what I'm talking about? Okay.
No, mail-in ballots are corrupt.
I know the SAVE Act seemed to have passed the House, if I understand it correctly, and is over in the Senate at this point.
It keeps passing the House. It's the Senate that's dragging on it.
About the prospect of this, there's been some concerns about the filibuster being set aside, all of those things. My hope and prayer is while there are enough shenanigans that are being played already for the 2026 midterms, that I'm hoping and praying that somehow we are able to still vote the way we have been used to voting.
Yeah.
And I don't believe that there is this kind of corruption going on. And it sickens my heart every time we hear that that's what's happening.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming and also for your leadership in our community. Really impactful for decades now. It is a huge concern. The president, created even more controversy around this earlier this week when he said that he wouldn't sign any bill until the Save America Act is the next one he wants to sign. Now, I was happy to point out to folks that if he doesn't sign anything and we're in session, it becomes a law anyway, so it doesn't really matter if he signs it. But there are opportunities if we're in recess for bills to be killed if he refuses to sign them. The Save America Act is a terrible bill. It's worse than the SAVE Act, which
Oh my God. No, it's not. She's such a liar.
House and failed in the Senate. There has historically been this bill idea that this is, I think, at least the third time that it's come up and passed in the House and then has not been moved in the Senate. My understanding is that Senator Thune has said he is not going to bring it to the floor.
Yes, it is climatics.
Open up the door to ending the filibuster to allow this to pass. And that doesn't mean that can't change. We've heard this story before, and when President Trump really starts turning the screws to people, he has a way of getting people to bend to his will. That being said,
As he should.
has to be a line that the House has already failed to stand up for this, but the Senate is the chamber that is intended to be the less volatile and the more conservative part, the more protective of our values as Americans. And that is what I'm hearing from Senator Thune, is that it does undermine the whole basis of our republic. And to go even further, it does not explicitly outlaw mail-in ballots, but Donald Trump has said he wants mail-in ballots completely eliminated.
Yep. And he doesn't say to eliminate them because he literally says
that is even in process, but
he says to that you could still have them, but for reasons that are acceptable. Like if you're, let's say, in the military, like gravely ill, whatever,
much proactively anticipating different ways to challenge action by this administration. I'll also share that our leadership in the House is very engaged in anticipating what are the different measures or opportunities that they will take.
EDS.
We here can vote from anywhere, and if you are able-bodied, willing we are going to need a mass mobilization to protect the ballot across this country. And so I would strongly encourage us, to do what we can to go to those areas where, they also want to have voter IDs so that they know where people live and where their polling places are, so that they can intimidate people going to the ballot box who happen to be Democrats or immigrants or, folks who don't look or, vote the way they want. And that is antithetical to everything about the United States. So whether it's, them trying to get our voter rolls and information, or having ICE, at polling stations, there's
They never even
incredible
said
risk
that.
in this
Yes.
election. And it is the number one line of protection that we have to have for keeping this very tenuous experiment that we are as a nation from failing. Because if we cannot have a free and fair election, then he has won in a lot of ways, and it will probably come to much more I certainly don't want to go to the dark places, but war and other things can absolutely come as a result of rebellion and other things of this. So we have to protect the ballot, and the sanctity of it is really important to me, and I know it is to you. Voting at home, you can't be intimidated. So we have to protect voting at home. And
No.
there are, I think, 8 states that are vote by mail only. They're also
Which
going
they
after
shouldn't
post
be.
offices. So please make sure that folks know, like, you can send your ballot safely in the mail as far as we know, but it's just take them to a ballot box and drop it off instead. I honestly would encourage people to do it early and get them in, and then help others get their ballots in, so that we can just avoid the shenanigans at the post office that we think are probably going to be part of his strategy. I wish I had more, like, tangible action that's happening, but unfortunately our Republicans are not coming forth with much yet. So I'm deferring to my team so I don't get in trouble for not calling on people.
Hi.
Hi.
I have family in southern Lebanon, and I lived in Lebanon during Israel's occupation, and I lived in Palestinian camps, so I know firsthand what they're doing. What Israel and AIPAC have undue influence in our government and in our elections. Will you commit to not accepting AIPAC money from now on?
Yeah. So the same thing's going to be true. I'm not supposed to talk about the political side, but I have very publicly said that repeatedly. And I'll just say that what I can speak to is my actions, and I have not compromised my values, and I have spoken about the genocide on the floor. I have spoken against defensive and offensive aid. I have actually evolved my opinion on defensive aid as a result of, admonition and the advocacy of our community. My job is to represent the interests of this community, and it's been very clear where it wants to be. And
thank you for acknowledging that it is a genocide, which
yeah, no, I spoke to the floor on it.
wants to say.
No, I gave a speech on the floor about it and had tremendous pushback from some folks. But, the fact of the matter is that the question of AIPAC is a very important one in the stability of our community. And it is where dark money is really disproportionately impacting, but it's even more than that. It is a force in our government that I feel very strongly that we have to get rid of all dark money in our elections. Publicly funded, shorter elections is what I think is how we get back to the people. And undue influence, when people give money, they are hoping to influence your vote. And what I can say is that has not happened for me, and it will not, and I don't accept AIPAC dollars.
I have a follow-up question about the SAVE Act, the Save America Act. So it's my understanding that our 2 senators would vote no if this came to the floor
In the Senate, yeah.
in the Senate. So I want to know, because we have most of the legislators in Oregon, most, I don't know everyone, but most of them, and particularly the senators, are opposed to this bill, either of those bills. And what can we in Oregon be doing if we want to be proactive?
Yeah. So thank you for that. Like any other issue, you know, my job is to receive the advocacy of the community. It is always the most influential when it is someone who is a voter and a constituent. So you're right that your voice is not as influential with our Senate and our delegation because they already agree with you on this issue. And I think the concerns about ending the filibuster and compromising the filibuster to get through. They do not have 60 votes in the Senate to pass that bill. But if they were to compromise the filibuster, then they could potentially get it through, which is what Donald Trump is trying to assert they should do. So I think number
Yep.
one, making sure that our senators hear you, that you don't want them to compromise in that. Number two, getting involved with other folks, whether it's your family or communities. You know, we have advocacy across the country that is happening right now, and I certainly don't tell anyone what to think, but if you can find groups that share your opinions and can have direct action in other communities where the awareness may not be as clear, I think that's important. This
It's
is
definitely going to go through.
question, which is why I'm being a little bit careful, because your rights to express your opinions are absolute, and my job is to listen to also not to make people feel like their opinions are also not appreciated. So I'm sorry if I'm not telling you to, you know, which groups to get involved with, but there
What
are
happened?
advocacy groups who share your opinion. Getting involved in those and helping elevate those opinions is important.
Okay.
If you write to another senator, it might help if they get a lot of letters, but most of us just look for constituents from our voting base and our constituency base. So they may notice, but they probably won't feel much, you know, to do. When I make comments that make people really mad, we get, unfortunately, an onslaught of calls to our office from outside of the district, and our team has to deal with those, and it's challenging for them when they have to answer phone calls when people are mad at me, but we don't really pay much attention if they're not from the district. Yeah.
I have a lot of concern and am angry about how the tech billionaires are out of control and their undue influence. I'm wondering if there's anything we think that Congress can do to protect the privacy and other rights that seem to be taken away by these greedy people.
So
The hell are they talking about?
There's so many different areas where this is true, and it's not just the tech billionaires. Like we've heard of, you know, the report that there was a Doge employee who then went from Doge with Social Security information about people in debt, may have shared it with their employer. So the security and safety of our private information is something that I'm very concerned about, and we should be regulating much more vigorously. But as AI grows in influence, like we lose our ability, because we can't even, Congress is a very, very slow moving body. We can't, you know, respond to something that's a 10-decade-old problem right now. Maybe I am hyperbolic to a certain degree there, but we're very slow. Trying to respond to real-time challenges with AI is really going to put us in an impossible situation. And some folks are saying that AI should be regulating AI, which also is insane. The first thing I'd say is billionaires are a policy failure. Like we just shouldn't have billionaires in this country. Like that is so disproportionate power due to money is being used. We also know that 17% of campaign contributions are coming from billionaires now, and that was less than 1% prior to Citizens United. So those folks are protecting their interests by influencing the outcomes of politics. So again, we get back to the dark money and getting money out of politics. That's one way. And then shareholders and the public have the ability to use their dollars and who you support and what programs you buy I think there are some real movements towards, Costco's doing well, Target's not doing so well. How do you do that when chips, you don't necessarily know what chip is in a computer, but you know what program you're going to buy or what app you're going to use? I do think us educating ourselves on who is behaving in a way that is thoughtful and protective of people will put pressure on these businesses who want to have a base of support to behave in a different way. It's hard to do with tech because you don't actually know where all of those things are. Anthropic, the Iranian girls' school being bombed may end up being a result of AI and the lack of control by humans. So finding these places where we really need to focus and regulate is my job.
I want to ask a question.
It's going to be tough for a while, but I think tech companies disproportionately have an interest because of the money being made right now in the stock market. AI is ruling the S&P index, and we have to break up monopolies and we have to divest people from these huge conglomerations of wealth. So I'm in the Monopoly Busters Caucus, and we did this in the Gilded Age. We have to do it again. We have to. Billionaires are a policy failure, breaking up the monopolies and getting back to people controlling the market is what we need to do. Was that this is the last one, John? Yeah, it is. Okay.
Thank you so much for being here and
Yeah.
for the positions you're fighting for in DC. Going back to the puzzling question of why so many Congress people are abdicating the power in favor of a man who clearly is not thinking at an eighth grade level. It's hard to imagine that they think this is going to turn out well. What we've learned about Epstein may provide a partial explanation. I imagine some of them are blackmailed. Mitt Romney has said that many people in Congress are afraid for their families and that they're going along with Trump because of that. According to Wikipedia, the Capitol Police have jurisdiction nationally to protect congressional families. So my question is, why aren't there the votes? It wouldn't take very many Republican votes to get a veto-proof bill to beef up the Capitol Police so that members of Congress have the option to vote their conscience without feeling like a mob is going to attack them.
That's an interesting question, and it's true that the Capitol Police, like when we are doing events, they vet to make sure that we have sufficient security and different things.
Yeah, she did.
Ironically, the Republicans really fought us on increasing security allowances for members of Congress this session, and this has become a prominent issue at different times right now. Yasmin Ansari is having death threats. She is the only Iranian American in Congress, and she took a very courageous position in being against this war, even though she knows the impact. Her parents fled as refugees. So she does not have the ability to pay for sufficient security right now, and she has constant threats. Ilhan Omar has gone through this repeatedly. This is true. AOC, we're sharing ways of dealing with this amongst ourselves and trying to figure out how to stay safe rather than having Capitol Police, and really the speaker has to lead the desire to improve security for members of Congress. And I don't think there's that much concern for them right now because they're staying in line for the most part. So you're right that might help. I will also say, like, most of us don't live in a bubble. You walking around with security is not really, I have no intention of living that way. So I think there will be people who would refuse that and would still take care of that. I've heard that. I've certainly heard it from my colleagues. Marjorie Taylor Greene, I think she legitimately resigned in no small part because she was fearful for her and her family's security and her grandchildren. It's crazy.
I think I'm gonna.
I have that, compassion for her because she has been so hateful in so many ways. But I think she really has been trying to be more brave and felt like she had to leave Congress to do it. I can't speak for other people. So I wish I could say what it was that was going to create opportunity for people to find their courage. And I will continue. You guys will see it, any of you on social media, I will get criticized for saying that my Republican colleagues and that we need to work across the aisle. And I refuse to dehumanize anybody. I think that we are on the path we are as Americans because we see like there are people it's okay to dehumanize and others that it's not. We are all people who want safe communities and to raise our families in places where they can have opportunity in the future. I've only taken care of people. I've never taken care of Republicans and Democrats in the hospital. Like we all bleed the same and we all have fears the same. So you will not find me dehumanizing my colleagues. I can't speak for them. I do know that they are not being courageous in this moment. And I don't know that why. But I do think a lack of awareness of what other people think may be part of it. When you sit with people through their fears and their challenges, I think you have a different perspective. So showing up is the number one way that we do it. And I hope that my colleagues will start showing up in a different way. And until that happens, I will continue to build relationships and try to help them see it from the perspective of you all. And thank you for helping me have that information and that insight. And thank you for showing up. And I will continue to do the same and get out there and fight for each other because right now it's community that's going to get us through this. Okay.
Can you tell us why requiring voter ID is a bad thing?
I'm sorry, sir, we just adjourned.
No, I know, but you can't. It's a simple question. Like, why is it a bad thing? You would think that secure elections would be a good thing, right? IDs. So you need IDs to do everything else, right? Yeah, that's what I thought. Yes, they provide free IDs all over the place. You can, if you're low income, you can get free IDs. Yes, you can. Homeless people have IDs. You need an ID to do everything, lady. You need an ID. They're like $25. They give out vouchers for free IDs for everybody that requires it. Women who've changed their names. That's what a birth certificate for and a marriage license is for.
Yep.
That's just an excuse for fraudulent activities in our elections. Voter ID is
Yep.
common sense. Voter ID is common sense. They do. It's
Voter ID is not
$25.
hard
Go
to
pay
get.
for it. Yeah, it's $25. Go cry about a $25 ID. Our elections, our elections should be secure. Voter fraud is a
Yep.
very big problem. Illegals are voting. Illegals
Yep.
are voting in our
Yep.
elections. That's why you guys
That's why
don't
they don't
want.
want us to look
That's
at
why you guys
the
don't want
voter
voter
rolls.
ID. You guys don't want voter ID because you want illegals and criminals to be able to vote in our elections.
Yep.
Yeah, you guys are the fraudulent ones. Look at this old folks home. Go back to your guys' old folks home. It's pathetic. It's just a big ass echo chamber in here. That's all you guys
Yep.
do is repeat the
Yep.
same bullshit. Yeah. Yeah. Why is voter ID bad? Are you trying to say that black people and minorities are too stupid to get IDs to vote? Is that what you guys are trying to say?
Yep. That's exactly what they're trying to
Absolutely
say.
pathetic, bro. Absolutely pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. Pathetic excuses of humans, dude. Liberal women are the death of America. Yeah, white liberal women are the death of America. What a joke.
Yep.
What a joke. Absolutely nothing accomplished. She just repeated herself like a dolphin.
Yep.
Absolutely nothing. Why is voter
Bloody
ID bad?
steals.
This must be going on your website. It's going on my YouTube. Yeah. Why is voter ID bad? Doctored up to make the rest. Why is voter ID bad, bro? Do you have a brain cell of your own? Do you have a brain cell of your own to tell us why voter ID is bad?
Jeez.
No.
Every time you get divorced, you have to change your name.
Well, you need
And
an ID. You got to change your name. You need an ID to you go.
when you
That's
get
very
married,
easy
you
to
change your
do. A birth
ID. When you get
certificate and
divorced, you change your ID. When you have a child, you have to go
marriage
get their birth
certificate. It's
certificate, their
very
social
easy to do.
security. Not hard,
Are you trying to
guys.
say people are too stupid to get IDs to vote? People are too stupid or what? That's just insane to me.
Yep, that's
It's
exactly
just
what they're saying.
insane to me.
Participation trophies for
Participation trophies, bro. We
Mhm.
got the old folks home, going back to the old folks home for lunch. God bless ICE. We need more funding for ICE.
freedom
That's
and
for sure.
liberty are not participation trophies.
No more funding for illegal aliens. Give all that tax dollars to ICE. Yes. God bless ICE. More funding for ICE. Yes. No more tax dollars for illegals. Give it to ICE. Triple their pay. Fuck it. Deport them all. Every last one. Deport the white liberals too.
Yep.
I'm an amazing human. I'm standing up for my country. I'm standing up for Americans. Americans first, Americans only, white liberal lady. DEI is deport every illegal.
That's what I told her. She said, "What job are you afraid of them taking?" What?
Oh, shit. Absolute ignorance is what that was.
Yep.
I knew she wasn't gonna answer. As soon as she heard my question, she was like listening, and then she heard my question and she didn't have an answer for it.
People are
Yeah,
insane.
on this country. Yes, thank you, Andy, for the $20 super chat. You're absolutely right.
White and white liberal man. Might as well just say all liberals are the death of this country.
No, that was just pathetic. Yeah, I'm not parked in here either. It was sad, bro. She didn't answer. I just logged into the get.
And you
Yeah.
get on, okay, yeah. Time for I got it, but that was cool. Touch it, the win.
God bless ICE.
It's over, so.
I hope you guys find Jesus. Find Jesus and pray for Americans, not the illegal aliens, right? Are you on that side too?
All good. You can block, yep, there you go.
Oh, well, I'll just tell them. I'll be like, oh, I forgot. I'm just walking through here, I think.
Don't yell at me, I got
Don't yell. I didn't even know this was a school here, man. We should come here during the day. Look, this is.
To be able to actually come when there's class and being able to.
Yeah.
They got a common area. Again, it's tax.
Yeah, University of Oregon in Portland. Oh, you're this way?
And yeah.
We'll walk with you because I don't want to walk directly to my car anyway. I'll walk the long way. BLS Doom Crew, what up? It was absolutely pathetic, you guys. I knew right away, soon as she looked at me after I asked the question, I knew she wasn't gonna respond. She was like, "Oh, that's too hard. I don't have a direct answer for that." Yeah. Well, no, I had to yell it. I asked them like, "Hey, let me speak," and they said, "Oh no, this is the last person."
Ask where you guys were from. They're like, "Oh, what's your?"
No.
She's like, "Who are you?" Yeah, she was like, "Who are you?" Because I was talking to my chat I had my thing on the table.
As they were talking about hooking me up.
I was like, don't fucking worry about who I am. Street Rother, $20 super chat. Keep it up, Tommy. Thank you, bro. J Maddox 923. Well done, man. Did you know? Yes, I do. Twam, baby, twam.
The ID. Yeah. What do you ask her, Tommy? What was the question again?
I said, what makes voter ID? Why is requiring voter ID a bad thing? Like everybody has ID. You need ID to do everything. It's like, what about people who women who get married? Well, you have a birth
That's so
certificate
dumb.
and you have a marriage certificate and you take those to the DMV and you say, hey, I got married and I changed my name. And then they'll give
Hmm.
you an ID with your changed name on it.
Yep.
It's very, very simple.
And I know in some places, well, I don't know if it's still like
It's
this,
very,
but
very
in
simple.
Chicago, it was free for you to change it when you showed them that you got married. Like if you got your ID and they showed them that you got married, and you had to
It
switch
was
it.
pathetic.
But I think they stopped doing that. But I know at one point it was free. But either way, it's not hard. You know, you go to the
Yep.
DMV
Yeah, they were just
and
ridiculous
you
ass
just show
questions.
them your birth certificate, your social,
You need an
your
ID
proof
to
of
fly. You need an
residency,
ID
your
to get EBT.
marriage
You need an ID
certificate.
to
You need
get
an ID.
EBT to get healthcare.
They
You
give it to
need
you, you know?
ID. Like you need ID for every fucking thing. I think I'm just right down here.
100%
No.
you do.
We're on the side where.
Like, I don't understand
Yeah, we
why
can
they think
walk.
it's so hard
Well, it's right
to
around
get an
here.
Yeah,
ID.
it's
And
around
it
this
just
right here.
shows,
Take my hat off and then whatever. Whatever. I'm like, my head's
it literally
All
just
right, we'll
shows
see
the
you later.
racism, you know, of the left. And what surprises me is how the
Let's
people, like,
go.
let's say, you know, black and brown people
Oh,
still vote blue. Like, but these
that
people
was
are
pathetic. We
showing
got here
you
a little bit
flat
later than I
out that
wanted
they're
to. I kind of
racist.
wanted to get here
Like,
before they all
that they think you're stupid, you
went
know?
in,
Like,
but the traffic
why are
was
you still
hella
voting
bad
this
and they
way?
had to go pick
They're
up
obviously not going to
people
give you
from.
anything. They tend
So
to
we
go
got
like
here
this
like
and
8
wiggle
minutes late.
that the stuff that you want, and they want you to keep
Nah,
jumping
it was
trying to get it,
absolutely
but they're not going
pathetic.
to give it to you. Like, when are you going to learn that you're never going to get anything from
We
these
all knew
people?
it was gonna
Like
be
the people in New York, they're finding out the hard
Maxine
way.
Dexter. She's like the white version of Kamala Harris.
Word salad.
Word salad wonder.
Yeah, and another thing is she could have easily answered your question.
Yeah,
Mhm.
she could have easily answered it.
That question.
It's not a hard
It
question to
was
answer if
quiet,
you know what you're
nobody,
talking
I
about.
just
Yeah.
asked you a question, human being to human being.
Yeah.
You can't answer me just because
It's because I'm wearing this hat and this sweater.
Yep.
I'm wearing this hat and this sweater, and they all hate me. And I fucking love it.
Mhm.
Love every minute.
All
of it.
scripted questions and answers. It's just another echo chamber.
Yep, it was an echo chamber. They're all clapping like for what?
Bunch of
My chat
seals.
was like, clap and do the seal.
Yep. That's all
That's
they
fucking
do.
funny.
The thing is we need to continue to push on things like that. We need to go.
MAGA and A. Tommy is a boss. Give a super chat. What a bro. Thank you, bro, for the $1.99.
They know they saw us there. They saw us moving around. They were like she was aware of it. There were times when you could tell she was
watching
having a
me the
hard
whole
time.
time.
Yeah,
That's why I was getting close.
Yeah.
I got super close and I could get the whole crowd. I was over there flexing and doing the selfie.
And I was just like, okay.
Yeah. She was like, who are you? I said, why does that matter? She's like, who are you? I said, I don't got to tell you who I am. She said, yes, you do. Bitch, no the fuck I don't. Who the fuck are you? Are you my mom? Are you my fucking mother? God bless Ice. God bless you, sir. Oh shit, it's a big puddle. God damn.
That's why we have boots.
My boots are made for walking. And I don't know where we parked. One of these days I'll pin my phone in. Where did we park?
This is the parking lot.
Where? Oh, where? Oh, maybe I know.
There, dude.
I think we're over here.
So that's free, but this is
Yeah, this isn't where. I didn't. Maybe it is right here.
the other side. Otherwise,
Oh.
all my
I got back asswards. Oh, maybe it's over here.
we're getting a little extra.
Exercise. Oh, that bike's just sitting in the rain. Damn, he needs a tarp.
They're having brain malfunctions.
Oh, that's easy for them to do.
Yeah.
Their brains don't work as it is.
Short circuiting.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if you go there with
I
a
got
person
an appointment at the DMV
of like
tomorrow.
my melanin. These people
But
will
we
lose
should
their
go.
mind.
We should go to somewhere tomorrow.
Are we good?
Are you muted?
So let's see if anything is popping off while we're waiting for these guys. Figure out what they're gonna do. He did himself. So I have
Happy birthday, Tim. Thanks for consistent hard work. US Bros, it's not skin color. Pagan Europe was a joke, just like pagan USA is. Can't be great without Christ, period. Thank you for the birthday wishes. Indeed, I turned 40 years old. Big old 40.
Today or
what's up?
Today?
Monday.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
Happy
it's coming
birthday.
for you, Lou.
You did it. I thought it was going to be Sunday for some reason.
No, we're probably gonna do like a get together on Sunday whenever it's here.
Yeah.
But you're coming up.
I know. I don't want to. It's going to be this year too.
Fine. I came from the future to tell you you succeeded.
Me?
No, you did too. This whole thing succeeded.
Ian is
Thanks for
Luke's
letting us
son
know.
from the future.
Could be.
Thanks for letting us know.
That kind of makes sense a little bit.
Keep your eyes open, yeah.
Okay, guys, that's kind of creepy because my birthday is actually
I'd be more likely
Monday
to believe
too.
that Luke travels back in time and then meets a beautiful woman and they have a child. He names them.
That's
He names him
crazy.
Bill.
That's crazy.
Who goes on to be a great political pundit with a popular show on HBO.
He does look exactly like me.
Doesn't he?
He does look like my dad.
We got to get Bill Maher.
Luke looks like Bill Maher.
Luke Rudkowski and Vladimir Putin in the same room.
What?
That's going to be a good show.
Bill
'cause
Maher was
they're
so
all
pissed about my
Ian
organization.
would come up to me and
Yeah.
he'd be like, after a show, he'd go, I was thinking, we got to get Brad Pitt on the show. I'd be
Yeah.
like, oh, yeah. Oh,
No,
all
I wanna
right.
get these three because they all look the same. I mean, not the same. They look alike. Putin looks a lot like you.
Yeah, if Putin and Bill Maher had a baby, I would pop out. I think
No,
it's
they're
pretty
both.
clear.
Oh my gosh.
Luke goes back in time and has twins, and he names one Bill and one Vladimir, and then they get separated at birth. You know?
Could happen.
should name my boobs.
Bill Maher flipped out on We Are Change Los
Vladimir
Angeles.
Bill.
We're naming them now?
That was always the thing. All right, let's grab some
Bye,
more of
guys.
these here
I'll be right back.
rants.
That
And
is
check
my
out my
right.
Joey
As an
Giggles
American.
says, not today, 34Cs. The Crusades must begin. Don't be tempted, boys. Go, go, go.
Simps sink ships. Yeah.
Not today, 34Cs. Not today.
Cabbage Roll says, CA policies led to CA refineries' recent closures. That's why the gas price is up in CA, not Iran-U.S. war. Interesting.
I didn't hear that part. That's so
Forced
off.
name change says Iran is a
So off.
problem created mainly by Britain and BP party by U.S. Just because the West made that monster doesn't absolve Iran of its actions. We made a monster, so now we have to put
Affects
it
me
down.
acting
Sad but true.
crazy sometimes.
Well, the Ottoman Empire was a big problem before that. You know, it's kind of the vestiges of the Ottoman Empire at that point.
And World War I.
Yeah.
St. Miles says Schumer is worried about the billions of votes from his illegal aliens.
The
I
billions.
mean, the response, I think, who was it? Was like Josie? She was like, are there billions of people on the tens of billions of people on these voter rolls? That's a problem.
That's a
Probably.
He's worried about that neti pot.
IP says Aaron is gorgeous, but I think they look better on Luke. Guess I got the guy now.
Thank
Oh,
you.
it's funny, that.
I'll take that.
Deeply concerned about that, actually.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Devin says, Tim, although we provide several sources of ID, proof of citizenship, to obtain a driver's license, some states allow illegal aliens to get cleavage, a driver's license, CNY green light laws. There's a really funny joke someone posted online. It's there's a tweet that said Marjorie Taylor Greene launched a new podcast called Greening Out, which of course means getting blasted on pot. And
Oh,
people
God.
believe it's real. And it's like very obviously fake because she's in like a gamer room with like a live chat going and she has a Talmud on a shelf behind her. So good. Anyway, Dolebow says Jesse Elks, who killed PA State Trooper Tim O'Connor, was a far left anti-cop, Antifa militant. The media is refusing to cover this.
Well.
So I did cover that story, and we haven't got official confirmation from the police about if this is the same Jesse Elks, but there are locals who say this guy was an ACAB Antifa, well-known far lefty, and yeah, indeed. Let's grab some of your YouTube super chats.
Uber chats.
We got to get some good goals for our super chats.
Yeah.
You know, we did one and Phil screamed. You know. Based African says, thank you for placing the top story headline back in the video title. I will now click on your video. Well, click more often at least. Yeah, so it's hard to figure out. The reality is, on all of the YouTube VODs, they have a thing called A/B testing where you can do 3 thumbnails and 3 titles. So we do descriptive thumb and title. We do descriptive thumb, vague title, and then we do vague thumb, vague title. And the audience always prefers vague. So here's the thing about we call it the 1% rule. 1% of people make 100% of the comments. So what happens is we design our thumbnails, titles, show format based around the feedback we get from people. But that usually just is the most vocal of individuals, which, to be fair, the biggest fans. We respect it. So when we use A/B testing and find that general population and general audience prefer vague titles, they stick around and watch. Here's the important thing to understand. When I say prefer, I'm not saying that they're clicking it and then going, rats, I was tricked. They're actually watching longer than the core base that wants descriptive titles. So let me stress this. If we make a title that says, Donald Trump declares war on Iran, thumbnail says it, title says it, about 30% of people will click on that. If we make a video or a thumbnail with the same imagery, but it says it's on, and the title of the video is it's on, not only will we get 45% of the audience to click on that, they will watch 50% longer. So we're finding that new viewers are watching more. The audience is watching more. The people who choose to click on this will watch the show longer than the people who click for the descriptive title. And it's actually pretty easy to understand. Somebody who clicks on a thumbnail that says Donald Trump does backflip starts the video and says, where's the backflip? And then when they don't get it in the first 30 seconds, they exit out. Somebody who clicks on a video where it says like, let's go, and it's Trump pumping his fist are like, oh, watch this. And they click it and they hang out to see what it's about. They sit and listen to the full thing to understand what the full picture is. So we've found tremendously more success with audience retention, audience growth, viewership, revenue, everything. And the people who watch the videos are much, much happier for it. That being said, for all the people who are kind of annoyed by it, I feel you, but I can only explain it as it is. If it means that the show will do better and new people who are not initiated in politics are going to watch and listen and hear the arguments, it's all around just a good thing. So there's not much we can do about it. We always give the choice. We do 3 and 3, and everyone always chooses vague. They prefer it. They watch longer. It's better for the show.
I wonder if the algorithm pumps it more because it's vague. Oh, yeah, I brought that up, that there's less words to siphon it into little silos, so it has a more of a general fan.
Perhaps, but I will say the most important factor for us was watch time and retention. So an individual who clicks on a vague title will watch like 50% longer than an individual who clicks on a specific title. Mr. Beast also told me this point, if you have your mouth open, you will get way more viewership.
Oh.
He was like, my mouth being open is the difference
insane.
between 300 million and 500 million views.
Oh my God.
That's crazy.
We've done a couple of these as a joke where I did one ridiculous one with Thomas Massey and it got 500,000 views. And then we did one last week where I'm like, 1 million views, it's getting literally 1 million. And I'm like, man, but you can't overdo it because it's like, but the truth is, if all of our videos were just me looking like I crapped myself and the title was like, he did it, 1 million views every single time, we'd be swimming in money. But we don't do everything just because we want to generate revenue. Otherwise, we would just, Erica post.
There might be diminishing return to being surprised too. Like, how many times in a week are you really going to be surprised?
But the issue is that new subscribers click. There's 1 billion people who YouTube's front page gets 1 billion clicks per month. We do not get anywhere near that. We're doing like 15 million or something just on YouTube on Timcast IRL alone. All in all, I think we do around like 40 million. Out of 1 billion, that's very small. So if we go for maximizing audience reach, what does this mean philosophically? It means that there are people who aren't paying attention who should be. There are people who don't know what's going on in the world who should be. They are not going to click a video that says Trump did thing because they're going to go, I don't care about this. They are going to click a picture of a video. So for instance, the segment we did about Joe Rogan criticizing the war got like 200K hits in like 10 hours. And it just says it's collapsing with a picture of me and Joe Rogan. Regular people who don't know what's going on clicked that and then learned about these various perspectives on the Iran war and the Trump campaign. I think that's good. I think anything that gets regular people to pay attention to what's going on is a good thing. I apologize to the people who prefer the much more specific catalog of videos that are hyper political, but most people are not watching. I'm sorry, like even the core base will click it and they're going to watch a 20-minute video for 8 minutes. Somebody who clicks on a vague title watches for 13 minutes. It's crazy to look at the numbers and be like, wow. Because, again, I think what happens is someone sees this and says, I wonder what that's all about. So they click play and they sit back and listen.
That's total phenomenon. Human, if you have less
It's
expectation,
crazy
there's a
that
tendency to enjoy the
it does do
process
that.
more.
Like I was
I don't know,
reading
maybe-
about
maybe
how
enjoy is the
to
right word, but
increase
the
your
general
like
idea is
views
if
and all
I
that
know
stuff,
what the
and it was
video's
saying
about,
like
I want
you
the
have to have at
conclusion,
least
I'll
5
click it,
different
got the
expressions.
conclusion, see you
So
later. If you're clicking,
that's
if
why
your
you see
motivation
some
for
people
clicking
with
is,
these like
this looks
crazy
interesting,
like
you're gonna sit back to
expressions
listen to
where they're like
everything to try
like
and
super shocked,
so
like
it's you know,
you
it feels kind of obvious
or
actually.
like just
The
like
people
silly
clicking the less
or
information
like
are
really
sitting back and just
mad and
absorbing
stuff like
everything we're
that.
saying to see what it's all about.
Thanks for
But
letting me make you talk
it's
about that for
because
like 5
people
minutes, Steve.
look
That
at
was
the
awesome.
reaction, they're like, "Oh
Indeed.
man, this is
All right,
serious. I gotta watch it."
Cerebral Vagabond says Operation Praying Mantis was very similar.
But let's see if we have something else we can watch. Because I know right now we're waiting because I know that they're gonna be going live in Portland again. So we're waiting to see what Portland is gonna be doing. Go ahead and check out some other stuff. So we're gonna go ahead and listen to what's up with CNN.
Oil, whether that's going to happen or not, they want to create fear, and they want to affect not just the oil price, but the global economy, because that's their tactic to try and end the war on favorable terms for them.
All right, Dan Jorgen, thank you very much.
Joining us now, CNN military analyst Colonel Cedric Layton. I know you've only just seen these images, Cedric, but they really give a sense of the scale of Israel's operation here.
Yeah, absolutely, Max. And one of the things that you're seeing here is basically that opening salvo in this particular aspect of the Israeli operation. Now, what Israel is doing is a multi-pronged effort to not only go after Hezbollah, but also, of course, after Iran and the Iranian leadership. So as we look at these pictures, we can see that they're attacking the suburb that you mentioned there in southern Beirut, which is absolutely a Hezbollah stronghold. But the other part of this is that they are all centered on destroying the effectiveness, the efficacy of Hezbollah as a fighting force. Israel has done a lot, of course, to decapitate the leadership in Hezbollah itself. They've, of course, also done that with the Iranian leadership. So this is an effort to really mop up as much as they possibly can and, in essence, render the northern part of Israel safe from any attacks from Hezbollah or any other group that's in Lebanon that is supported by Iran.
Yeah, our team on the ground there, thankfully okay, but they said they heard the explosions and they were significantly stronger than any blast heard over the past several days of strikes. Do you think that, you know, with the US suggesting that may not be a prolonged conflict, that Israel is trying to achieve as much as it can within this window?
I think that's definitely a possibility, Max. And one of the
because I've never dropped a digital solo album before. So pre-orders for the new album are open right now, okay? And like I said, this is my first ever digital album. So
the Tom McDonald's live, so we're just
this is the first album that you're
watching.
not gonna find at hangovergang.com. But you can pre-order it right now on iTunes, Amazon, Spotify, Apple Music, all of the digital places that we've been avoiding like the plague for like 10 years.
Right.
You can get this out. You can pre-order this album in all those places right now. This is a little bit of a mountain I'm trying to climb. We are currently number 5 on iTunes in album pre-orders. We've never had to do this before because I've never dropped a solo digital album. But it would be really, really cool that if before this album drops on Friday, if we could hit number 1 in pre-orders, So if you could, please, the link is pinned in the chat right now. All you got to do is click that link. Then it'll let you choose iTunes, Amazon, Spotify, whatever. And then you can go pre-order the album and help us take that #1 spot. That would be really cool if we got my first ever solo digital album to #1 in pre-orders. But I'm gonna need all of you guys. I'm gonna need you guys on this one. So if you can, head to iTunes, head to Amazon, head to Spotify, or click the link in the chat and pre-order and pre-save the new album. Let's take it to #1. The other cool thing is, if you pre-order on Spotify or Amazon or iTunes, you're literally gonna be like the first person to hear the album, because if you pre-order or you pre-save, the album will automatically appear on your phone Thursday at midnight. So, so get your pre-orders on iTunes, get your pre-saves on Spotify, get your pre-orders on Amazon, and then the album will automatically download and appear on your phone Thursday at midnight, which is really, really cool. And then by the time I wake up Friday morning to drop the brand new video, you guys have probably listened to the album by then. So get those pre-orders, get those pre-saves. And we'll talk more about the album in a minute, but that's not like the only thing going on. It's really, really cool that we're dropping my first ever digital solo album on Friday. But also, a brand new music video drops on Friday, and it's fucking insane. It's insane. I'm not gonna talk too much about this new video. I already dropped some hints today on social media, kind of hinting at what it might be about. But this new song and this new video dropping on Friday, this is the song that you guys have been waiting for like a few months. This is the song that I've been asked to make more than maybe
It's funny because I just put it in
any
the chat
song
too.
I've ever made in my life.
When he was gonna drop a new vid, and
many of you guys
he's
have
like
asked me
said
to
it,
make
so I'm
this
like, yay.
song. So many of you guys have wanted this song, and I did it. And it drops on Friday. And I wasn't sure if I was ever gonna make this song. It's a really big thing. It's a really serious thing. Scary thing, and it's pretty fucking serious, and it's pretty big. So I wasn't sure if I was ever gonna like tackle it and make that song, just because it's kind of like a dangerous subject to touch on, like legitimately. So, but you know, fuck it. We're dropping the new album on Friday to all the streaming services, and I was like, you know what? If there was ever a time to make this fucking song, it's now. So Friday, 9 a.m., brand new music video. Like I said, this one's pretty serious, and it's a fucking banger. Banger.
Let's go.
Shake your walls banger.
Yes, I can't wait
so yeah,
to
we'll
see,
man. Like,
because then I get
I'm
to
just gonna say
review
it
it,
right
guys.
now.
I get to react to it.
I'm not suicidal, okay? I'm feeling pretty fucking good. So I'll leave it at that. New album, new video drops this Friday. And yes, the new song and the new music video will be on the album
So
that's
cool.
dropping Friday. So
Very cool, very cool.
let me sort of just explain this album for a minute, okay? And you can pre-order it in the chat right now. Just click that link. You can pre-order it on iTunes, pre-order it on Amazon, Spotify, whatever you want. So let me just talk about this album for a second. So since the beginning, since 2017, when I dropped Dear Rappers, my first album, Death Threats, came out in 2018, and it was on CD. And every single album that followed that, up until now, 2026, every single album that I've ever released has been physical only. The only songs of mine that are on digital platforms are the music video songs. My albums have always just been on CD and that's it. So if you haven't had a CD player, you've never heard my albums before.
Haven't had it in a long time.
So I feel like I've been keeping some of my best songs secret for like 10 years. I feel like these songs have just been like hidden away on CDs and physical albums. They've just been hidden and kept secret on CDs for like 10 years. So I've just like kind of reached a point where it's like, I want to give the rest of the world that doesn't have CD players a little taste of what they've been missing out on. So I dug through 10 albums of physical, exclusive, unheard by the world music. And I picked 19 of my favorite songs. I made the coolest compilation of music that I think I could possibly make. I picked 19 of my favorite songs. I put them on this album. And then I took this one brand new song that I'm shooting the music video for, that's dropping on Friday, that I shot the music video for. And I put them all together on one album. So it's 19 songs from 10 albums that I dug through, stuff that most people haven't heard unless they have CD players. And then I took the new music video song and I put that on there. So it's 20 songs. It's my first solo digital album ever. And it's dropping this Friday. And like I said, pre-orders are open right now. You can pre-order it on iTunes. You can pre-order it on Amazon. You can pre-save it on Spotify. And then it will automatically appear on your phone Thursday at midnight. So Thursday at midnight, the new album drops. Friday at 9 a.m., brand new music video drops. And it's been just an absolutely incredible workload, like getting this album ready for you guys, getting this music video ready for you guys. And there's been like camera crews and people in my house, and there's stuff going on right now that you guys don't even know about, that you will find out about very soon, because it's likely going to show up on your Netflix or your Amazon or your Hulu or whatever streaming service you use on your TV. But that's all I can say about that. That's top secret, confidential, future stuff. But I've just been working my absolute ass off. Like I said, there's been camera crews here. We're shooting music videos. I'm putting this album together. I had to go through like 10 albums of music, and every album has 21 songs on it. Like, that was a lot of, I had to sit down with my headphones, listen to the albums in their entirety. I pulled 2 songs from this album, 2 songs from that album, 3 from over here, 4 from there. Just like whatever my favorite records were. And I came up with 19 of my favorites. So, so that's where we're at. This Friday, brand new album, brand new music video, super fucking hyped on it. And yeah, we'll see how it goes, man. I just read an article that said that Iran might send a bunch of drones to California. So,
oh snap!
Hopefully, I'm still standing on Friday when this stuff drops, and I'm super excited. So
yes, you should sing that song.
I'm gonna jump in the chat.
From, what was that song?
If you guys have any questions about the
one with
album
the koala
dropping on Friday or the music video dropping on Friday,
where he's like,
drop your questions in the chat. I'm gonna prioritize questions about the new album and about the new music video. And
I'm not a very serious person, guys.
And Kat keeps spamming the link in the chat. The link is pinned in the chat. So get the pre-orders of the new album, and let's get hyped for this new video dropping on Friday.
Yes, let's go, guys.
Simple Plain Truth says, will you do a physical copy of this album? No. There's not going to be any physical copies. This is my first ever digital solo album, and it's going to stay that way. It's just going to be a digital album. We're just going to rock with it. We'll do it one time. You know what I mean? We'll continue doing physical exclusive albums and continue to have them be a special thing for the people that have seen. Best songs I've ever made have been like hidden away on these CDs and these albums for like so long, and it's just like a secret that I don't want to keep anymore. I want to fucking tell the world, and I want to give people a taste of what my albums sound like, and have sounded like for over the years. You know what I mean? JC says, you never talk about the Epstein files. Okay, bro, tune in Friday, I guess. I don't know what to tell you. Somebody said, what genre is the album? It's rap. The album is all hip hop and rap. Somebody said, can you tell us the track list? If you go to iTunes right now, the track list is available. It's appeared. So if you go to iTunes to pre-order the album, all you got to do is click the link that's pinned in the chat. If you go to iTunes right now, you can see the track list there. So, Unreal says, I'm from the UK and it's hell here. Your music has helped me get through some really hard times, especially Man in the Sky. Oh, I'm glad, man. I'm glad the music helps. I know that the UK is in a tough spot right now. Whole fucking world's in a tough spot right now, man. It's hell everywhere. SEAL Team 7 says, are you on YouTube Music? Yeah, the new album will be on YouTube Music. It will be on YouTube Music. It'll be everywhere. Everywhere where there's digital music, all the streaming services, Apple Music, Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, YouTube Music, Tidal, all the digital platforms, the album will be there. I'm just really pushing for people to pre-order the album on iTunes because we're number 5 in pre-orders right now, and it would be really cool to get to number 1. We've never done it before, and I just think that'd be badass. So, and like we've talked about it lots, like streaming doesn't necessarily help an artist as much as actually purchasing their album on iTunes or Amazon. So I would appreciate an iTunes purchase of the album, but if you want to stream it for free on Spotify or Apple Music or YouTube Music, whatever, fucking by all means, man, rock and roll, play it loud. Lacey says, is the name of the new song on the track list already? I believe so. I think it's song number 1 on the album. But it's not going to tell you anything about what the song's about. It's just, so this new video that's dropping on Friday, like I said, that song is on the new album. It's song number 1. If you want to know what it's called, you can go to iTunes and just look at the track list. It's song number 1. But the title of the song is not going to tell you anything like about the song. I almost named it something else that would totally tell you what the song was about. But if I titled the song that way, I was worried about being suppressed on YouTube, being suppressed on social media, just because like it's a really triggering song.
Guys, I actually have like some news that I wanted to share with you guys, especially after what he was saying. So I wanted to look it up
I went with a
to
more
see if it's
abstract
true,
title to try and
just so that we can all be on the same page
social
of
media
what's
suppression.
going on.
So there you go.
Let me get that up.
Cosmic says, where's the cover art? The cover art's gonna drop tomorrow. So if you want to know what the video is, what the vibe is like, tune in tomorrow for the artwork drop for the single. And then Friday, when the album drops, I'll post the album artwork. Sean Fox says, this is gonna be a banger. Dude, you have no idea. Trust me. Like, this is a fucking banger. Like, I told everybody before Devil is a Democrat, I was like, yo, this song's a fucking banger, look out. And Devil is a Democrat went crazy, and it was a banger. This is an even bigger banger than that.
That's funny because it seems like it totally
The whole album's banger.
I
handpicked those 19 songs, and it's just like 19 of my favorite fucking records from over the years. And I think that like all of...
I'm gonna mute him real quick, guys, because I wanted to play this video. This is talking about a report that FBI warned Iran aspired to attack California with drones in retaliation of war. So let's go ahead and jump in the video.
We just learned that the FBI reportedly warned California police about that unconfirmed intelligence report involving a possible drone strike by Iran off the West Coast. That's according to ABC News. It's reports like that one, which is exactly why we see some barricades outside, fencing here. We know that by Sunday there will be hundreds of police officers deployed here to the Dolby Theater, along with hundreds of federal Homeland Security and FBI personnel. Moments ago, in a virtual news conference, Governor Gavin Newsom said that he was aware of those threats from Iran to attack areas of California with drone strikes. Take a listen.
Concerns as it relates to the broader concern, as it relates to drone strikes, we've been aware of that information. We've been working collaboratively through the SOC, which we established right after the war began, the State Operations Center, working with the Office of Emergency Service, but also working locally to make sure we transmit any information that we have received, and we're aware of that, which has been reported, I think, by ABC 7. We're aware of that information, and we transfer that information in real time to our local partners. Drone issues have been always top of mind, and we've assembled some work groups specifically around those concerns. But that's all I'll share at the moment. I have nothing more insightful beyond just what's been reported and how we're transmitting what we know to our local partners, which is critical.
So there you have it. But important to note, authorities emphasize there is no confirmed specific threat tied to the Oscars right now, but they say heightened vigilance is necessary given the global tensions created by the conflict with Iran. Authorities say an encoded shortwave radio message believed to have originated in Iran was detected shortly after the reported killing of the country's supreme leader on February 28th. Investigators say the number sequence resembled signals historically used to communicate with covert operatives and may have been intended for
unless they already have people here. I was going to say that sleeper cell.
There is no confirmed threat tied to it right now. ABC News, as we just said, reporting the FBI recently warned California law enforcement about intelligence suggesting Iran may have considered launching drone attacks from a vessel off the U.S. West Coast if American strikes occurred. Officials say the report included no details on timing, targets, or perpetrators and remains unconfirmed. Meanwhile, large gatherings like the Oscars remain a focus. Security experts also believe other likely targets include transportation
hubs. Do you really think that they're going after the Oscars? I highly doubt that.
Big sporting and entertainment events. The FBI and Department of Homeland Security say they are continuing to monitor potential retaliation threats today.
Crazy.
They were looking to do something here that was going to get a lot of attention. That is something that would fall within their group of targets. It is kind of believed that they have target folders already ready to go should that day ever come when they get operationalized. The fear is that this day has come.
Share.
Security around the Dolby Theater will be extensive. Officials say bomb squads will scan every arriving vehicle using detection equipment and explosive sniffing dogs, while SWAT teams monitor for potential drone threats capable of carrying explosive devices. Undercover officers and specialized counterterrorism units from LAPD and the FBI, Homeland Security as well, they will all be stationed throughout this area. Back out here live at this hour, we can tell you that officials say sharpshooters will also be positioned on nearby rooftops, and officers will maintain 24-hour
Dude, did you hear about what's going on? That Iran threatened to send drones to California? Bro, that's crazy.
We'll send it back to you at the studio.
Wow, that's some craziness, guys. Like, let me get the other video for you guys. Because this is from the ABC News. And I want to kind of go into this video as well.
Warning of possible Iranian drone attacks on our homeland. A new alert reviewed by ABC News revealing Iran's aspirations to conduct a surprise attack specifically against unspecified targets in California. The FBI saying it's warned police departments across the Golden State now of strikes by unmanned aerial vehicles or drones as tensions rise in the Middle East. Let's get straight to our chief investigative correspondent, Aaron Kontersky. Aaron, what are you learning?
We've reviewed an alert that came within the last couple of weeks, Kira, just recently from the FBI to law enforcement agencies up and down the California coastline, warning that Iran is aspiring now to perhaps launch some kind of a retaliatory attack on the U.S. mainland using drones on the West Coast. The alert that we reviewed said an uncorroborated report suggested that unidentified Mexican cartel leaders had authorized attacks using drones carrying explosives, so they know that capability exists. And this separate alert that we've reviewed, Kira, says that Iran has those same kinds of aspirations. So the U.S. has broadly known for some time that drones could be deployed against the homeland. We know that Iran has been using drones significantly in this 12-day-old war with the United States. That's what killed the first
but they
6
also are
US
getting those
service
from
members
China,
in this
and
war.
then
But
supposedly
now the
they're
FBI
getting
is
intel from
specifically
Russia.
warning police agencies in California along the Pacific coastline that Iran is aspiring to use them to attack in the West.
So why California? Why the West?
Good question.
Good question.
That's not exactly clear, but perhaps there's thought that Iran has these things pre-positioned on ships that are still in international waters or that could float through international waters. We know that we've previously reported, Kira, on Iran's desire to perhaps activate sleeper cells in the United States, although that's certainly far from confirmed or far from anything operational as far as law enforcement knows.
We know they already
it's
did
not
that.
clear why the
We know
West Coast as opposed to the
that
East Coast,
they probably
but
already
that's what the
sent
alert
out
from the FBI
signals.
says.
MGD Gamer actually had a good conspiracy about that in regards to like some old like sound or like video or something like that was, or ham radio was, it became active after 47 years, and he was saying that it was sending out like random like numbers or like words and letters. And so he was saying like, is that, because that happened right after the Iranian war, so he was saying like, is that what's going to activate the sleeper cells? I do think so. The thing is that with drones, they're probably going to be harder to capture, like to see on like radar. Especially if they go low, it's not going to be picked up. But now that we know that it's there, it's like it's possible. But it depends on how they have the drone set up. They couldn't have it where it's got like bombs already installed in it. They can use it itself as a weapon. Like they could crash the drones into people and stuff like that. You know, they can attach bombs. They could attach weapons on it. Like you never know. And these are being made and given to them by China. So, you know, who's to say that they don't have more kind of better tech on the drones? We don't know yet. But we do know that there was drones that got through Israel's Iron Dome. So it's like it's possible for it to hit America. But a part of me also feels like it could also be a false flag. So conspiracy hat time, guys, where they're trying to push this war so that they'll get more people on board with it. So that could be also a thing that they're doing. Like, who knows, guys? Like, America would be shady sometimes. I ain't gonna lie. But yeah, so I know it's Tom McDonald was talking about it right now, talking about that. And then I saw also JD Delay was also talking about it. So I wanted to kind of see what was up with it and to see if it's like a real thing. Now they're getting this information from this guy, which is Black Scout Survival. I definitely like watching his channel along with Canadian Prepper because they're pretty good at coming up with all this information.
Guys, something weird is happening over California right now. Federal authorities have warned law enforcement agencies about a possible drone attack originating from a vessel off the United States coast and allegedly tied to Iran. Now, at the exact same time, we have the Navy's E-6B Mercury, better known as the Doomsday plane, that's been spotted flying low over California during approach drills. Now, If you don't know what that aircraft is, that is the plane that's literally airborne command center for nuclear war. Its job is simple. If
snap.
Washington is destroyed, if ground command is wiped out, if the U.S. is attacked in a catastrophic scenario, the plane becomes the backup brain of the entire U.S. military. It maintains communication with nuclear submarines that can transmit launch orders. It keeps the chain of command alive if the country is hit. So the question becomes, why is that aircraft suddenly flying around California while the FBI is warning about potential drone attacks off the West Coast? Because to me, that combination is not normal. And before we get to this, the last part of this video might actually be the most important piece of the puzzle. So stick around. Now, what the FBI actually said, this was intelligence alerts reviewed by ABC News. Federal authorities warned that the California law enforcement that Iran may attempt a retaliatory drone attack against targets on the U.S. West Coast if tensions escalate further. Now, the part that got my...
See, the thing with this is that I'm not surprised that they would try and attack us for the simple fact that we were very arrogant in our younger days, you know, like thinking like, oh, we're untouchable, you know, we're the ish, you know, like nobody can mess with the United States. And 9/11 proved differently, you know. It proved that we are very much touchable. Like people can get into us and get to us and hurt us. You know, like that was a culture shock for a lot of people because we really thought like nothing can ever enter our airspace without us knowing. Nothing can happen to us. You know, you felt very warm, safe, and protected. And 9/11 kind of taught you differently. So I'm not trying to fearmonger. Is this a possibility? I would think so, especially with the fact that now you have sleeper cells or these people, you know, because I don't know if you noticed, but there's an uptake in like bomb threats. And so we had the thing with by Mondani's like mansion in New York. We had the actual people that threw EID at Jake Lang and those protesters and the police. You had the ones that were at the airport, one that was on an airplane. Like, I could just go on with all these things, and it's just getting more and more frequent. And, you know, who knows if one's going to actually get set off around us. We don't know, and it's kind of scary to think about that. But like I said, it's better to be prepared than unprepared. So, you know, I definitely recommend people watch their six, stay lock and loaded, buy gas, get extra food if you can, because sometimes it rains. But I do think it's possible that they can get through and they can probably, you know, launch something at us. You know, we're not untouchable at this point. So who knows, especially if they're having the help of Russia and China, and who knows who else that they're getting help from. I mean, we have a long list of enemies, guys. Let's keep going.
Attention is the intelligence suggests these drones could be launched from a vessel position off the U.S. coastline. Think about that for a second. And remember back, I did a video about this years ago. Beijing is believed to be developing hidden weapons to strike enemy ports and ships. Hidden missiles in containers, lift out, ready to be fired. Now, we would be dumb to believe that this wasn't actually already in existence, because if you're a smart individual in any form of the military, you'd probably position something like that, kind of clandestine ships that could strike your enemies, right? That would make sense. The other thing I want to revert back to is that, remember back in New Jersey right before inauguration, all around the Northeast area, saw all those weird drones that look like, now we're thinking, the Shahed drones. That one police officer, a female, she had a video. She's recording things coming out of the ocean. She talked about it. They took the video from her, and that police officer vanished off the face of the earth. You never heard about it again. So, to me, that was probably true. It was probably maybe conglomeration of our enemies, whatever. Because with a little ship or vessel, you don't need a military base, a missile base. You don't need a military airfield. You could launch drones. From
Yeah, no,
something
I
as
get
simple as a
you.
cargo
Like,
ship,
I'm on the
fishing
fence
vessel,
too
or
about it.
container
Like,
freighter.
sometimes I feel like
And suddenly you have kamikaze
it's just
drones flying
like
towards U.S. cities.
our government trying to keep us in line.
And to be
But at the
honest, my
same time, it's
confidence level is
like,
down
like my little
because
spider sense be tingling. And it's like,
would they try to even
especially
stop
with
it
the fact,
to get a buy-in from the American public? Oh, America, God.
especially with the fact that I don't know if you guys watched Tim Pool. If you don't, you go and like and subscribe to him. He actually has a lot of good points. He's a fence sitter, so he's not, even though the left likes to say he's right leaning, he's not. But that's besides the point, guys. He actually mentioned that there was, and I don't know if this was like staff or actual representatives, but I remember he made mention that people in Congress or Senate or White House, like our politicians, were talking about having like calling the guy that builds bunkers, calling the guy up and saying, hey, is my bunker ready? Hey, how fast can you get this done? Like all of a sudden there was urgency like that. So when you start seeing like elites or people in power trying to get secure and safe, your ears should be perked up, And again, I'm not trying to fearmonger, guys. I'm just telling you, it's always good to keep an eye on what's going on around you just so that you could be prepared. Yeah, we definitely need to be strapped for sure because, that's the only thing, honestly, that I feel that will keep America safe is that, we have the right to the Second Amendment, which allows us to protect ourselves. So if we ever got invaded, like one of my favorite movies, and I got to rewatch it again, is Red Dawn. And I like the remake too. I like both. But it's factual. If something like that happened, not everybody's going to be prepared and know what to do. So it's always good to make sure that you're prepared for any type of situation, whether it's a natural disaster or us going into that direction with World War III or Civil War, who knows? Zombie apocalypse, guys. But you definitely want to make sure that you just stay alert because these people in power, think about it, they're not going to tell us if we're in DEFCON 2 or 1. They're going to go and hide and protect themselves first, protect, our government to keep a working, functioning government. They're going to kind of tell us last because they don't want to cause mass panic. So they're not going to tell us right away until it happens. So that's why I'm saying, like, you really need to pay attention to what's going on around you. Keep your ear to the ground because that's the only way you're going to know what to do next. But that's just my thought, guys. But let's keep going with this guy.
Hit like 9/11. Everyone's body was patriotic. Then, so it makes me think that it's very possible they would even allow it. Or do you think we even have?
I don't know why, but I've been watching more and more movies like that.
Officials say they don't have a confirmed timeline or targets. Of course, they're not going to know that. And of course, they're not going to say that. They're not going to tell us that.
Yep.
But the fact that warning exists means one thing. They believe the capability is real, or they're planning a false flag attempt or allowing something to happen.
One or two.
Sometimes it's just being compromised, allowing something to happen. Okay. And
we just found out
that type of action throughout history. They allow
I'm sorry, guys, I keep pausing it. And we just found out too that, and I think they're still doing research on it or investigating it, but we had just found out that CCP was funding the Iranian protests. So there's Chinese money within our country. And that's not including all the Chinese sleeper cells that we have, not just Iranians, but because the border was wide open. So who knows who came over and who is like not on our side, guys.
Attack to happen. So that way it gives them reasoning in the public buy-in to take action. But the part nobody is talking about yet is launching drones from ships. Again, it isn't some crazy Hollywood movie. Iran has actually experimented with containerized drone launch systems. That means drones can be hidden inside standard cargo containers, the same containers that sit all over the world, and a lot of them outside of the California coastline, because that's where a lot of product comes in from foreign countries, Asia especially, into America. They can open it, launch it. And suddenly you have multiple drones flying toward targets hundreds of miles away.
Yep. That's some craziness.
Done. Easy. Right? Now, imagine that sitting quietly on a cargo ship looks like normal commercial traffic until suddenly a swarm of drones launches toward the U.S. coastline. You think they're going to get all of them?
Nope.
Right? And remember something important about this. California ports process about 40% of all imports coming into the United States. Thousands of ships move through those waters every year. Remember when Pete Buttigieg was in charge and he got the whole damn shipping lanes out there. There's cargo sitting out there, people trying to get UPS packages for months because he had it all, when he was breastfeeding his kid. Right? But you wouldn't know which one to even look at because there's so many out there. How are you going to even search all of these things? And Iran has spent years developing this cheap drone tech here, okay? The Shahed 136. This thing is giving us massive problems because we're spending, these things cost anywhere from $20,000 to $50,000. We're spending like $800,000 to shoot one of these things down. And we're burning through our stockpiles at the same time, right? These things are long range, GPS guided, extremely cheap. They're designed as kamikaze drones. Russia has used thousands of them in Ukraine. You've seen the footage. They buzz around with a propeller, slow approach, and then boom, impact. Now imagine dozens of those, hundreds of those approaching U.S. coastline offshore. Okay? Imagine it.
To a missile, which requires a great big launch platform that can be targeted and taken out, and then the missiles are no longer useful. This can be launched from the back of a truck, from the middle of a field, from a boat, compared to a missile which requires a big production facility.
That's crazy.
So it's a cheap knockoff, Temu version. But some people may ask, why California? Several reasons. First, California has massive strategic targets, naval bases, ports, defense contractors, technology infrastructure, power grid nodes. Second, California is psychologically symbolic. An attack there would generate massive media coverage, just like New York City. And third, it's, again, the closest U.S. coastline to Pacific trade routes, meaning a vessel could theoretically launch drones without immediately raising alarms.
There you go.
And again, remember when all those drones were flying in the Northeast and they're all just hobby drones. So these people don't even know what's going on. And there's a lot of hobby drones. So theoretically, they could get away with something like this, right?
Yep, it'll be hard to detect it.
Talk again for a second about the Doomsday plane, the E-6B Mercury, okay? This is a Navy program called TACAMO. Stands for Take, Charge, and Move Out. Its job is to maintain communications with U.S. nuclear submarines and missile forces during national emergency. So in other words, if the worst possible scenario ever happened, the plane keeps nuclear command structure alive. It acts like a flying command bunker.
Definitely the
and
ships.
When you suddenly see it doing
so it makes sense what he's
major
saying, how it
population
could
areas,
just creep in and we won't even know
obviously, I'm going to ask questions. But the other thing where this gets interesting is the E-6B isn't even the only aircraft designed for this mission. There's also the E-4B Night Watch. That aircraft is the president's doomsday plane, okay? It's basically a flying Pentagon. It allows the president and military leadership to command U.S. forces during a nuclear conflict. So essentially, America could be annihilated, okay?
Yep. They want to keep a working, functioning government.
Eli level shit. And they're up there making moves. So anytime global tensions rise, and we've seen them take off I think it was last year, right? They'll fly more frequently. Because if a catastrophic attack ever occurred, these aircraft allow the United States to continue operating even if Washington was destroyed.
Yep.
So when these aircraft suddenly appear in the news cycles, flying over California, you have to wonder, man, what is the military preparing for, right? You know, and they're really not going to tell us everything. That's the other part of this. So even them telling us this is either one of two things. One, potential attack, or three things. Potential attack, they could stop it. Two, potential attack, they let it happen. Three, false flag. Those are our three options, okay? Or maybe nothing happens at all, so it's all a psyop.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've heard that they're talking about in some countries. A guy sent it to me today. I think Vietnam. There's another country that they're doing a two week lockdown, just like the COVID for fuel. Oh man, be scared, stay home, right? Terror cells. I saw a warning ago also that they're stating that maybe Hezbollah and Hamas may attack, and they have confirmed 18,000 of these operatives within the U.S. It goes back to why I was so pissed off about them going and picking up the construction workers and landscapers. Whenever they know 18,000, why are they not going after these guys first? Man, screw the drug dealers, man. Go after the terrorists first, right? Let's do that. We're sitting on, obviously, several pressure points, major points, right? Middle East, pretty significant. Doesn't look like that's going to come to pass anytime soon. And obviously, Russia, Ukraine, BRICS, the formation of BRICS. I said this years ago, is that BRICS was going to be the anti-NATO.
Yep.
Don't think they're not all working together, okay? Don't think they're not. China, to me, by what we did with Iran, what we did in Venezuela, truthfully, I'm surprised China hadn't taken Taiwan yet, because in my opinion, it would give me a free pass to go take Taiwan.
That's why I keep saying,
I said, well, y'all doing it here, I'm going to go do this.
I keep saying that China is just waiting to make their move. They're over here playing like 5D chess with everybody. Like China's 10 steps ahead of everybody.
People imagine tanks crossing
They're just
borders,
moving all their
Red
pawns.
Dawn. It's not how it works anymore. Modern conflict begins with things like cyber attacks, infrastructure sabotage, drone strike, proxy forces, plausible deniability. Oh, we had nothing to do with that. You don't need a full invasion anymore. That's movies. You just need a few strategic disruptions. You see how much Americans hate each other? Dude, make the power grid go down in a certain area. Ports
all I have to do is take down our infrastructure and we're done.
Energy facilities hit. No AC, no heat.
Mm-hmm.
And then the economy on top of that is shaking right now. You add in all these things, you will have people at their throats. You won't even have to send anybody here. Americans will do the work for you.
That's why my theory is they're trying to cause a civil war to keep us distracted. Because then we'd be right for the picking.
Poor man's cruise missile, guys. Look at what's been happening in Ukraine. Really, the Russia-Ukraine war has changed warfare, significantly.
Yep.
In the past few years, okay? For a few $1,000s, you can build a drone capable of flying hundreds of miles and hitting a target. Completely changes warfare. We got guys trying to create ammunition to be able to shoot down these drones so that they're not killing soldiers. You no longer need billion-dollar missile programs. You just need GPS coordinates, a launch point. That's why militaries around the world are scrambling to develop drone defense systems. The Marine Corps is making that like their priority. They're bringing in guys as E7 to work in this field.
That's why the AI race is so important.
So the next major attack somewhere in the world probably won't come from fighter jets. It'll come from something small, cheap, extremely difficult to stop.
Yeah.
Once it's already airborne. Now, the question people are asking, when governments need public support for war, what historically changes public opinion almost overnight?
That's what I just said.
Pearl Harbor, 9/11. History shows that when Americans feel personally threatened, public support for military action increases dramatically. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but history, man, shows me a different thing. Is how you shift public opinion. Maybe this intelligence report is just precautionary. Maybe a psyop to scare. Maybe the doomsday plane is just, simply conducting a routine drill. Maybe nothing happens. But when you start seeing multiple signals where there's smoke, there's fire, you've heard me say this forever. FBI warnings, drone threat alerts, strategic military aircraft, the rising global tensions, you pay attention, man, because history has a strange habit of moving slowly until it doesn't. Yeah. Stay frosty, stay strapped, stay dangerous. Black Scout.
2, 3.
Yeah, so he's so on point with all this stuff because that's basically how it's gonna work out for everybody. it's crazy because like I was saying, I watch like these movies that have to do with, like Red Dawn was a great example of one where people are coming into your homeland and attacking you, and it comes out of nowhere. Like in that movie, the guy, they just came from partying and winning like a football game or whatever, and they went home, they went to sleep, and all of a sudden they just started hearing rumbling while everybody was snoozing. That's when they attacked, like literally at dawn. They start just kind of dropping in and just murking people. And so, you have to think really quickly on your feet. You don't have time to cry and say like, oh, I need my family photos and I need this and that. No, you need to literally go to like literally just hide. You need to like just get out of Dodge. And so I like watching these movies because it definitely keeps me on my toes. Like I start like really investigating and looking at these things and thinking like, if I was in that position, where would I go? Where's the first place I would run? If they're coming from the front, would I run out the back? I literally just have to have my brain constantly like thinking of ways to get out of situations. Yeah, exactly. Hawaii. Yeah, there are things that can happen, and you know what? We just gotta be prepared. And like I said, he also made a valid point because I was saying that earlier too. Like for all we know, it could be our government doing this to us, to garner more sympathy for the war, so that we could be like, yeah, go for it, get them, or it could be like a real thing, a real threat, or it could be nothing. It could just be a scare tactic because they don't want us in Iran no more. So we don't know. We won't know until it happens. But you definitely have to kind of keep an eye out on what they're doing. Don't listen to what they say. Watch their actions. Actions speak way louder than words, because that will tell you when you need to run. I'm just saying, guys. But I have this video, which is, like I said, this is the Canadian prepper. He's been really good. I've been watching him for a long time. And he went from talking about prepper stuff, like gardening and tools and all this stuff, to actually talking about what's going on around the world. He actually had good predictions when it came to the Ukraine thing. He like pointed out when it was going to happen, how it was going to happen. Like, bro is on top of his game. He could kind of get a little boring because he gets so wordy. And like, I have that attention span where I'm like, squirrel, like my attention kind of goes away, guys. So you gotta really kind of keep me intrigued. I think that's why I like, boy movies where there's like explosions and, gunfire, because like it keeps me like intense and intrigued, But let's go ahead and see what he has to say about this whole situation.
I'm just gonna be blunt. The Middle East is in flames and Iran is fighting like hell. Okay, they are fighting with everything they got. And this is making the administration nervous.
Gotta be ready.
And I think they're about to resort to plan B, which is to execute a false flag on American soil, which will be promptly blamed on the Iranians in order to justify a boots-on-the-ground operation in Iran. Now, look, I usually save this conspiratorial stuff towards the end of the video because I'm trying to attract an educated, critically minded audience who doesn't just succumb to the usual shock jockery. But this seems pretty clear to me what's about to happen. Trump made some statements just a few minutes ago that we're going to analyze, and this war is reaching its apotheosis. Either way, the United States is getting way more than it bargained for with this fight. The Iranians are fighting tooth and nail to stay alive right now. We are seeing oil tanker after oil tanker after airport, after oil storage facility, after gas facility go up in flames. If you're not paying attention to what's going on in the Middle East, I can tell you this is how I felt today. Okay, and I'm wired right into this. I am locked in, and I'm telling you guys, this situation is far, far worse. We could see the use of nuclear weapons this week, and I'm not even trying to be sensational about it. If they're running out of options and Iran is getting close, and it looks like both sides are really approaching a point of potential peril in which it seems as though they're resorting to their nuclear options. And Iran's nuclear options is to light the Middle East on fire. And in the last 24 hours, I mean, they've just been unleashing hell. And in response to that, the Israelis and the Americans are right in there trying to unleash hell. I'm going to tell you what their plan is, because their plan is to try to undermine the government by creating unrest, which is why they're targeting all the besieged paramilitary forces. They're trying to create the conditions for a civil war to foment. But, I mean, what you're looking at here is there were 2 tankers, and they were close together. I don't know what they were doing. Were they transferring oil between one another? But a drone hit one of these tankers, or maybe 2, and it's up in flames. We've had about 6 of these incidents. Actually, no, that was 6 before this incident. So probably about 8 of these incidents within the last 24 hours, be it cargo ships, oil tankers. So, I mean, this situation is just out of control, okay? So the Navy is refusing to do escorts in the Strait of Hormuz. Iran is now threatening the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, which is another strait. This is an oil refinery that was on fire in Oman, who, if you recall, the mediator attempted to broker a deal, and this was one of the guys that informed Ray McGovern, the former CIA analyst who we had on the show the day the war started, who said, oh yeah, the war's not going to happen. I bet him $2, and I still haven't got my $2, Ray, but we'll talk in the future. Anyways, the mediator is now getting hit, okay? So this situation is just spiraling out of control. I mean, take a look at this. Yeah. This is that same facility. Actually, no, this is a different facility, I think. It might be. I can't even keep track anymore of what's going on. This is in Oman. And so, I mean, you know, here's another shot of that. Okay, so we're seeing, you know, ships getting hit all day. UK MTO summary. So this is the organization, the Maritime Trade. What do you call it? They basically oversee all the incidents that occur. This guy had to be evacuated from his ship today. And so the Strait of Hormuz is open, according to Chris Wright. Remember when he said, oh yeah, just yesterday, the Strait of Hormuz is open. This is the detonation of what looks to be a MOAB. I'm thinking it was a MOAB. It could have been a massive ordnance penetrator. But people are saying it's a nuke. It's not a nuke. Trust me, when they use a nuke, the Iranians will let you know about it. Okay?
We will know.
I got to say, guys, I messaged my buddy Steve Syros. He is the owner of the freeze-dry wholesale company who make various types of freeze-dried cuisine for the military. And I asked him, like, is this your stuff they were using? Because apparently Pete Hegseth Defense Department blew $22 million on steak and lobster in a single month, getting all the troops ready to fight a war. And he's like, yeah, probably is. So we've done plenty of videos with Steve over at Freeze Dry Wholesale, and I cannot say better things about a company, man. Like, the guy is just salt of the earth type person. You know, the type of business you want to support.
Would be a massive ordnance air blast, mother of all
food
bombs.
Right now, the price of food,
if he's talking about it in military sense.
These things are tightly correlated. And so you're going to have, you know, the agricultural inputs in terms of fertilizer and all of the other petrochemical-based stuff that comes out of the Middle East, which is now in a bottleneck. I mean, we are going to see the price of food skyrocket again, which seems insane.
But you know,
had you purchased freeze-dried food years ago, when we said when the price is half of what it is now, I mean, that in and itself would have probably beat the markets, never mind, you know, just retaining its value. So, you know, food is a great hedge, and eventually they're going to have to replenish their supplies. And so when the government starts putting in these big orders, because now they're going to be going into a big ground campaign, as I'm going to elucidate today, well, that's when they're going to really put pressure on the food supply, because you're going to have to feed all those troops. And so we got a lot of stuff to talk about today. So just, you know, buckle up, man, because things are not looking good. Yesterday, I told you that they're probably going to mine the Strait of Hormuz, or that was the buzz. And then about an hour after I released that video, multiple news agencies from Reuters to CNN, maybe it's just disinformation, maybe it's psychological warfare, who knows? But they both came out and they said that there had been between 10 to 12 mines placed in the Strait of Hormuz. So for perspective, as I told you yesterday, well, it's 30 miles at the narrowest point. only about 2 miles apparently are actually used for the transit of vessels. 1 mile of width going in the east to west
I told
direction,
you
and
guys,
another
sometimes it
mile
gets
of
a
width
little boring.
going in
It
the
gets a little
west to
wordy.
east or east to west. You get the point. And so the diameter is about 1 mile. So if you were to put one of these mines every 150 meters in the lane that is exiting, because that's really the lane you care about. Now, would they be respecting these lanes in these types of conditions? I don't know. I would presume so. Force of habit, just like how a lot of people will get trapped in the cities on a busy highway when SHTF is about to happen because they've been so conditioned to stay on the side of the road and not go into incoming traffic when there ain't nobody coming into the city and you have an open highway right there. We've all seen, you know, the Walking Dead apocalypse type movies where people make that mistake. So
Independence Day was a great example of that.
Well, you might be saying, well, that's a lot of space. Well, when you're talking about a very large
Independence Day literally showed when they were going towards the White House, the dad was telling Jeff Goldblum,
the pathway,
everybody's leaving. He's like, where are you going? And he's like, we're going this way. He's like, you're going to get hit by something. And he's like, no, you know, it's an empty road, man.
Like
they're going, they're coming, you know. It was funny, but he actually was on an empty highway going towards danger where the other ones were trying to get out, which caused the bottleneck.
Until the U.S. military goes in. Now, there's a possibility that one was already hit, but I think it was a naval drone. It was this ship right here. Let me see if I can find it for you, because there was the bottom of it was damaged. Let me just see if I can find it. I just showed it to you.
That's why it's always good to have a great escape plan.
So you can see this.
Not just
so they're
one,
using these,
not just two,
these
not just
unmanned
three. It's good to have many.
naval drones.
Because you have to have lots of plans in case one doesn't work. You got your second plan to go off.
That basically put it out of commission. So those guys had to be evacuated. Even if it doesn't sink the ship, it still puts it out of commission.
Yep.
And I mean, they ain't messing around. I mean, you know, I've been
always
telling
also
you
good
guys
to have
that
paper
Trump's
maps, because
full of
if they
shit
take
for a
out
long,
the
long time, but
if
now
they hit us with
I'm
an
more than
EMP,
ever
that's
convinced
it.
of that.
Our phones are
I've
useless.
been thoroughly vindicated by anybody who isn't completely in a state of denial and digging their heels in that cognitive dissonant way that people typically do at times like these. Okay, so we have full spectrum attacks on Gulf energy infrastructure. I mean, oil is spiking again. Okay, now people are asking, why is oil spiking when they just agreed to release 400 million barrels? Okay, 1/3 of the global energy reserve is now going to be sent out to market. And just remember, we used to have, just a few years ago, way more than that. It used to be approaching, I think it was 750 million barrels. Then Biden drained it during the Ukraine war. So they're about to go down to about 20% of what it used to be after all is said and done. Okay?
Crazy.
So that was priced in on Monday.
I didn't just.
So this is why the markets are going up, because they're seeing this shit that's happening, shit that I told you was going to happen. And Trump is doing all kinds of damage control, but now they're going to plan B. This is what plan B is, okay? Now, this was the perfect pitch of a question, purely curated, you know, for the audience and served up to Trump on a silver platter so he could answer in a way that was appropriate and conducive to future military operations. Take a listen to this.
Iran sleeper cells there could be inside the U.S. right now.
I have been, and a lot of people came in through Biden with this stupid open border. But we know where most of them are. We've got our eye on all of them, I think.
Is it dozens?
They came in through the open border policies of Sleepy Joe Biden. One of the worst president in the history of our country. And we've got our eyes on all of them. But the war itself is being prosecuted at a level that nobody's seen before.
Okay, so he had all the buzzwords there, right? Sleeper cells, it's Biden's fault, it's a border issue. So already knowing full well, catering to his base, because he knows that when they do this thing, because listen, is it a surprise that they're only talking about this now? We've been watching them for a while. I mean, okay, so why don't you go and arrest them? You know what I mean? So the fact that they're putting this out there is priming us to get ready for the big attack, and they're talking about doing drone attacks off the coast of California or some dumb shit. You remember when the drone sightings were in New Jersey and people were like,
yeah.
oh yeah, it's Iranian alien spaceship drones working off the East Coast. You know, just insane propositions.
Those could have been test runs.
This is what I suspect they're about to do. I've been saying that the only thing they're missing here, the only ingredient to make this a masterful cuisine of bullshit, is a false flag. That's all they need to do whatever they want to do, because everything is in place. The military is being routed out of the Middle East. They are trying to evacuate their military bases. It is that bad. Okay, their troops are under fire and they're trying to evacuate. Iran is just unleashing hell in the region, and we have nobody to blame but ourselves. And that's just a fact. And if you've been brainwashed into believing otherwise, then, I mean, take some financial advice from this guy. If you took any financial advice from this guy at this point, you would be broke at this point. Never mind Trump coin. You know, let me not go into all the potential shenanigans
from Canada,
and
guys, just so you know.
chicanery that goes on with this cronyistic government, the likes of which I don't think we've ever seen since Nancy Pelosi. But I'm telling you guys, that's what's going to happen. They're going to do it. And they've put all of the other pieces in place as well, whether it's the rapid reaction force that I talked about yesterday for the National Guard. They're automating the process of selective service. They did that back in December of 2025. So you're just streamlined into it now. You don't have to go and physically fill out a piece of paper and apply. So they're just trying to
I had totally forgot about the whole air balloon from China and
when the shit goes
drones.
down,
but it would make sense because they would be like doing like that,
and
you
if
know,
you can
survey,
really,
you know,
I mean,
where they're
it
just
takes
kind of
a lot of
trying to see where we're at, so they can know exactly where
the
weak points are
situation
to
is going
attack.
great. We have the situation under control. Really? You think they got the situation under control when you're seeing scenes like this? I don't think so. So, in terms of what else is going on throughout the Middle East, let me just pull up a map for you here, just to have some visual point of reference. We have, as I indicated, several attacks, port storage facilities, even the fuel that the tankers use to fuel up with. I can't remember what they're called, bunkers or something like that. These things are being attacked as well.
Yeah.
And so the tankers, when they go in there, they got no place to refuel to get out. And so this puts a lot of pressure on other adjacent ports in the region who are running out of gas. It's not just that people are running out of gas. I'm seeing video footage, and this was just recently sent to me, of not only gas stations run dry and shuttered, especially in parts of East Asia, but grocery stores as well. There's a run on grocery stores. So this situation is getting bad. Iran is saying, if we burn, everybody burns with us. And this is their nuclear card. And the more drastic measures they take, that's how you know they're reaching a point of desperation. And for the Israelis and the Americans, they're going to take that as a sign that they need to put the pedal to the metal because they're almost there. But the IRGC is surprisingly resilient. Now, let me just get on task here. Where should we go? Because there's so much news. There is so much news. Let's anchor in this for a second. So, how could this war potentially come to an end? Well, right now what they're trying to do is they're playing their X Factor wildcards. And so what they're trying to do is neutralize all of the paramilitary forces, because there are millions of Iranian paramilitary in Iran who are now they have like a religious edict. They have a will to fight that didn't exist before we killed their pope or pope equivalent, which was their top cleric, which was the Ayatollah.
Yeah. Not
so
all of them.
Maybe at one point this was just economic, like in Syria.
Like zealots,
you know, they ran out of money to pay the soldiers,
and then
they had enough turncoats, and that approached a critical mass of people who just capitulated and defected, and that was the end of it. In Iran, I think it's a different story. You have people who are fighting patriotically. Not only that, so you have the patriotism, you have the fact that Iran is largely self-sufficient, and people are still more or less, they have food and water. But you also now have that religious provocation of taking out their primary guru. And that, of course, has motivated people in ways that I don't think a lot of us can appreciate here in the West. So they're fighting like they have nothing left to lose. And a lot of them aren't afraid to lose whatever they have left, is what I'm trying to say. But that's not going to stop the Israelis from trying to foment some sort of insurrection. And so what they're trying to do now is there's these checkpoints throughout the cities because the besieged has the nation on lockdown. Understandably so, they're in martial law, just like they are in Ukraine. Only in Ukraine, the people are less unruly and perhaps more conditioned to be compliant, which is why they've just become accustomed to guys jumping out of vans, scooping them up, and taking them away to the trenches. But in Iran, they're a bit more feisty, okay? Some of them anyways. And so the besieged, as we've all seen in January, they attempted to do an uprising. This was clearly a color revolution type ordeal that we paid for here in the West. We funded, and it failed, as it's always failed in Iran. They've tried this multiple times. That's as close as they got. And now is probably even closer because despite the fact that Iran has evaded this tactic in the past, they've never done so under constant bombardment. So it's yet to be seen whether the nation can hold itself together. Their mosaic defense strategy and decentralized strategy has worked fairly well in staving off, another decapitation strike attempt. But apparently word has gotten out that they are hanging out right here, which of course is the farthest from where U.S. military assets are in the Persian Gulf or the Arabian Sea, because they won't dare go in the Persian Gulf, and Israel. And so unless, Turkmenistan is compromised, unless they have Putin's word about what's going up in here, and I think they probably do. I think the Russians are probably keeping a watchful eye over this location, and they have all kinds of contacts throughout the former USSR. So I think they're extending some sort of protectorate umbrella here. And because the Russians, they want this war to go on. They want Americans to put boots on the ground.
Yep.
I think Vladimir doesn't want this cash cow to end. He wants the Middle East to go up in flames. Okay, don't kid yourself. Russia benefits by this thing going for a long, long time. And they're probably going to continue to send Iran all of the aid they need, like the core staples that Russia has an abundance of, food and stuff, that they already send to Iran through the Caspian Sea. So this is where the top dogs are hiding out, the Iranian leadership. Apparently, that's to the best of our knowledge, this is where they're hiding out. And this is based on, I don't have the images here, but because of some video footage that showed the backdrop of a government facility in this region, that's where they suspect they're hiding. And of course, they're hiding as far away from American bombers as is possible. Now, that's not to say there's not other routes they can take, and maybe they come from Azerbaijan or something, who knows. But that's essentially what's going on with respect to that. So that's the only way the Iran regime falls, is from the inside. And I don't think that's going to happen because now they have a religious motivation. I have a sneaking suspicion that if the Ayatollah was taken out before Syria fell, those fighters would have had a newfound motivation. And this is why you're seeing Hezbollah light things up today. I mean, this is it. We are in the apotheosis of this crisis, I think. I mean, it still could get a lot worse. Hezbollah is firing everything, okay? This is what we thought we would see 2 years ago. And so Hezbollah has joined the war. The only people who have not joined the war yet is Yemen, and I think they're waiting for the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, and then they're going to light it up again. And that is one of the threats that the IRGC leadership made today. They said that, well, our next nuclear card is to shut down the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, but in addition to that, Yemen might just fire all its missiles at Saudi Aramco, and then it's lights out. Oil goes to 500. You're not even going to be able to cash out of the casino at that point. There's a lot of people thinking, oh yeah, we're going to go and cash out at $500 if you bought into one of these oil ETFs. Maybe, maybe there's Just take a little banking holiday, and you're suddenly locked out of your accounts. And what this guy's talking about, remember, cyber attacks, sleeper cells. Of course, you don't have to have physical boots on the ground to do a cyber attack, but they're going to do something, man. They're going to do something. They're going to put boots on the ground. Mark my words. I've been right about every single thing. Even though there's always this pullback, and everybody thinks, oh, yeah, you see, everything's fine. And then it always ramps up the escalation ladder. Punctuated escalation. Things calm down for a bit, and they consolidate to a new, level of fuckery, and then all of a sudden it takes off again. And that's exactly what we're seeing here. They just need one spark. All they need is one major incident, and the American people will be looped right in, because there's so many people brainwashed to think that the Iranians were going to nuke the planet just because, they built this civilization for thousands of years just so they can completely self-destruct on a whim, because they don't like Israel and stuff. Complete and utter nonsense. You're brainwashed what I said about what happened to Charlie Kirk. This probably isn't the channel for you.
There's an energy, electricity went through a lot of people, and it woke a lot of people
they say you die.
Or they started coming out more often, and they started speaking up.
So,
I get what he's saying.
It's my time to die. It's my time. That's what they say in the Matrix Revolutions. If it's our time to die, it's our time. All I ask is that you give them hell before they go. I'm not saying that, this is what I do. This is all I do. This is where I bracket my level of influence. If they decide to send me off to war, then I guess it is what it is. Maybe I'll be one of those Muhammad Ali activist types. But, I mean...
Yeah, so I'm going to leave it right there, guys. But definitely go follow him. He has, like I said, sometimes he gets a little wordy. And so I get, like I said, I have, that mentality where, everything distracts me. But I definitely try to pay attention to a lot of the things he says. But he's really good about being pretty accurate on a lot of the stuff that he's been saying. He's the one that, like I said, was doing the Ukrainian war. He announced when he thought it was going to start and everything. So he's been on point. So I wouldn't take everything he says with a grain of salt, but I definitely would pay attention because he's been pretty good. Him and, Black Scout, they're very good. So I definitely watch both of those guys. But that's all I could do tonight, guys. You guys have a wonderful night. Stay safe. Watch your six. Make sure you stay locked and loaded. And you guys have a good one.
Time's up, my little heathens. Harley's gotta cause more trouble. Thanks for the chaos.